first of all, as the government weighs up, though, its own social media reforms. News Corp's chairman says tech platforms should be required to honour the media bargaining code, and he says if that doesn't happen, the government should be willing to take hard action.
Penalties that incorporate criminal sanctions for companies and their executives that agree to the licence but then break the rules. And the power to ultimately block access to our country and our people if they refuse to play by our rules. This idea of a social licence is neither overreach nor pie in the sky.
Joining us live now in the studio, coming up the hill from the National Press Club, Michael Miller. Thank you for your time. One of the other things you spoke about that to go further on from that grab there, criminal sanctions for companies. So what could this mean? I mean, fines would have to be pretty big for Meta to even notice this, wouldn't they?
Yeah, they've avoided fines in Europe. If you look at the past 12 months alone, they've been fined 1.3 billion, 400 million, another 280 million. And they just push it through the courts. So I think that these are substantial companies that reach 90% of Australians each month. That is Meta alone. So they have immense power and through their immense reach. They also, as an industry, take over 10 billion of revenue out of the country. And so the size of the fines should meet the size of their revenues and their powers and the impact they have.
And then I guess, I think the thing that shocks people the most is when it's something that happens over and over again. Andrew Forrest, I know in your speech, said 7 different scam videos were appearing a day at one point.
Yes.
So things that happen over and over again, and then when they're told, hey, please take these down, and you struggle to even get a response, that's where you'd reserve the biggest fines, and then what, further? Because criminal sanctions, are we talking jail time for individuals? Yeah, well, we've seen that fines don't work. So the next penalties, and it's the penalties that Australian companies sign up to. They, as an executive, I'm subject to not just penalties, but potentially jail term. Things like cartel behaviour, like reminding you as a panel that as journalists, should you publish something which is subsequently deemed to be top secret, 2 to 10 years is what you're liable for. But that is a condition of you checking the work that you do and being subject to Australian laws.
Have you discussed this idea of jail penalties with the Communications Minister or the PM or anyone in government, and have you had much of a reception to it?
In recent weeks, we've been socialising the idea of a social licence, and that we are trying to address the fact that Meta and the tech platforms push this into courts, push it down the road, and that is the bit there where, how do you actually address that? The fines don't always work, so therefore the threat of executives having jail term has to be on the table, both local executives and global.
When it comes to dealing with the tech giants, can you name a few examples of laws that don't exist but you think should?
The ACCC's ex ante framework that deals with the monopoly they have on ad tech. There's got to be laws that protect Australians and see reinvestment back into the mental health that they're causing that don't exist today. I think that, again, I would look at enshrining the news media bargaining code. It did the job, bringing those companies to the table, but what we've seen is Meta's ability to walk away. And so by enshrining that in a way that Australians still have access to Australian news and Australian news media companies are being fairly remunerated for that, they're the kind of laws that I'd see as definites.
You touched on the issue of social licence, and we've seen this groundswell, I think, of support for the idea of greater restrictions on these entities. Malinauskas of South Australia talking about a ban on younger Australians, like News Corp has been as well. But you said something today which I thought was interesting, where you said if they don't abide by it, well, good riddance. They can leave. How do you think consumers, Australians, would accept that, given, as you said, that the platforms are used by so many Australians right now?
Now, other countries, first of all, are going down the path of lifting the age limit. In the past 48 hours in the state of New York, they're proposing lifting it to 16, but not only the age of 16, but they want to have control as a state over the algorithms that target people under the age of 16. In India, TikTok doesn't exist. The Indian government decided they didn't want that platform there, and local alternatives have flourished. In fact, they're probably better for that population due to the fact they're built for that market. I've got no doubt with great innovation in Australia, we would see alternatives also flourish.
We've got Labor, Liberal and the Greens broadly on the same page, so we'll see what happens. Michael Miller, we appreciate your time today. Thank you.
Thank you.